Hello and welcome to Rhythm Matters. My name is David Noland. I'm here at my home studio and I would like to introduce you to some basic rhythms using the conga drums. Hand percussion, of course, is one of my favorite ways to play percussion. I started as a kit drummer when I was a younger person, and of course went through a festival one day and found about 6 or 7 guys playing very structured hand drums. I could tell they knew what they were doing as bell claves, bell patterns, clave patterns, conga drums, shekere, all were grooving all at once, tying it together and locking it into some really great patterns. I was so turned on by that I achieved some lessons and went after this, because as a kit drummer, of course, you use your right foot and your left foot, right for bass, left for hi-hat, typically. And then of course you've got your sticks and different techniques with your sticks and the different drums that you hit. And of course I had to take those kind of skills, getting the different sounds off those drums, and convert them over to my hands. And of course using your hands is a whole technique and a way to develop patterns that give you different sounds when it comes to percussion. So today we're going to concentrate basically on the basics of hand drums. In this case, conga drums. Conga drums is a barrel drum that have animal skins or hides that are placed over the top of them. You can tune the drums, each one of them, using these tuning particular pieces of hardware on the sides of the drums. And of course that way you can get your different sounds, or at least you want to get to the actual chord that you're looking for. In this case today, these drums are already tuned, and I'm going to kind of basically show you techniques. A technique, a way of practicing on a drum is to get the open tones, the slaps, the thuds, and the basses down. In this case, it would be open tone, slap, thuds, and bass. Now, of course, it's a lot harder to get those techniques and make sure that those sounds come out, so the only way of doing it is to practice. And one of the practice techniques I learned when I first started was simply you go faster until you get used to getting the sounds that you need. Also, another technique that is used to help bring out the sounds that you want is a heel-toe action, and that would be like this. Very definite sounds there, and speed will come to you later. There are people out there that will be lightning fast and very good at technique, and others not so good at technique and fairly fast, and so it just matters to the person how they develop their skills. Doing the heel toe is very important when you're putting down a rhythm such as a tumbao, which is what I'm going to show you right now. You'll notice that my left hand will hold that heel toe action while my right hand goes after the different sounds, and in this case it sounds and looks like this. Of course, that sounds great because there's all those different funky sounds mixed in with my hands. It's not just, it's, add a drum in for flavor and change it up the way you want. A typical tumbao is played this way. So, and again, there's a variety of ways of producing these sounds. If you wind up coming together with a learned group of percussionists, one would be holding one drum down, the next person would be holding another drum down, another percussionist might be on a shekere, which is usually a gourd wrapped with beads. You may be able to see it in the wide view angle down on the floor here, just past my electronic kit drum. And then also there's clave, which is basically two sticks tapped together in a particular pattern in order to do the lock, which is what clave stands for. It's a key to Latin Cuban percussion. And that is a nice sound, and you can get different types of claves with different textures, made of wood, some are hollow, some are made of glass, and you get all these different pitches. And clave obviously is very important to the music, as well as a bell pattern or even a stick pattern. Tac 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 tac. That goes in with these patterns as well. You get that group of people together, all knowing what they're doing, and you wind up with one great sound. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and kick a clave, taking some of my kit skills and teaching myself not only to learn the techniques and the different sounds with my hands on the top of an animal hide on top of a drum, but at the same time I'm kicking down the pattern, I'm going to be kicking in this instrument down below me a clave. So check this out. Now, of course, you can't kick that just anywhere you want. It actually has to be in a particular area of the rhythm. And rather than get into the details of where that kicks, you can actually hear that, where it is. It's never off key, it's always on key, which is the key, which is the lock, and locks the rhythm together with that clave. At the same time, there's a bell pattern typically always played, and the bell pattern, again, typically is on the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. And in this case, I'm going to use this instrument, much like this one, but with a bell on it. And of course, you'll be able to get the whole feel of the rhythm, as where maybe 2 or possibly upwards to 4 percussionists would normally make the same sound that is about to be heard. And that goes like this. Then, you know, when you're doing these types of things, you can get better, you get faster. This is what turned me on when I was walking through that festival and I saw all these guys playing these instruments, and at first I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And all of them had the ability to do a multiple of talented things, but yet each one of them had an individual drum doing an individual part, which made all 5 or 6 of them at the time come together as one unit. And of course, that was such a turn on for me. I had to learn those parts, and over time you do learn those parts. Typically, rather than go into all the parts, because there are literally thousands and thousands of different types of rhythms out there that have been handed down generation after generation, as well as some newly made up ones. We won't go into that today, just basically given the idea of how conga drums are played and how one person can actually produce a multiple of sounds. Typically you would see somebody doing this in a band where there weren't that many percussionists and they needed that full sound.